The last one, the most recent, was my lawyer. And I have to describe to you the situation. I was going through losing our home. My brother had stolen the property rights, embezzled the estate funds. We were in debt and facing a public auction with the city on taxes. I had a tumor that triggered central nerve damage and set my disease back 30 years. I'd worked so hard and I had gotten 100% well. I had 1 year out of my life. I was 72 and I had 1 year out of my life that I was 100% pain-free. I could run up the stairs. I was like a 5-year-old at 72. And it was diet and exercise and with the help of Dan and climbing and being in clean air and Capriole skiing and everything. Now I haven't been able to get that back. I'm slowly working on it. I'm slowly improving, but I still take crippling attacks and I don't have it completely under control. I've managed to move the tumor off the nerve and I'm slowly repairing the nerve. And I did that through exercise. I have a girlfriend who is a licensed yoga instructor, and she helped me with certain exercises because this tumor cannot be moved. It's inside the muscle in my thigh on the inside muscle, and I have to live with it. And it is slowly getting bigger, and eventually it'll kill me. But for now, it's moved off the nerve. The MRI showed it was off the nerve just 2 inches. But that's fine. 2 inches is a lot, to tell you the truth, compared to where it was. So it's amazing what you can do when you have a good doctor, which I have, Dr. Falcone and Dr. Sadie. God bless you. So that I understood what I had, and then I was able to learn how to deal with it, because it's not operative. I would bleed out. It's a parasitical fat cell tumor that's feeding off the blood, main artery, and if anybody had been foolish enough to go in to do a biopsy, I would have died in 10 seconds. I would have died. So anyhow, my life was a mess when I met Trent, and it was like I was meeting my grandson, kindred spirits. He was humanitarian. He wanted to fight the law that was criminal, that allowed for all this fraud and embezzlement and secret filing in the first place. He was beautiful. He had this soul, this heart, this spirit. He was magnificent. And I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. He was my hero. We were going to fight the Charter of Rights, and we were going to get the law changed, and he was going to help me get media, which meant that I not only would get the law changed, because through public exposure, I would embarrass and shame the government into into banning a law that every other country on the planet had banned. It's a 2,000-year-old law that goes back to the time of the Romans, and its purpose is only to steal property. Why else would you want to file anything in secret? So he was just our hero. My mother was just delighted, and I had set aside a certain amount of the estate funds from the sale of the properties to be able to pay his fees. And I asked him to keep my money in trust, and he wouldn't do it. And then I was tricked out of the money, so I lost $190,000, and I never blamed him for that. He was young, and he didn't understand that sick, handicapped seniors sometimes need to be protected. And he just didn't understand that. But God is my witness. Not for a second did I ever mean for him to ever not be paid, to do anything for free. He was young, he was in debt. I wouldn't do that. That's not who I am. But he was so gung-ho to do this. And I was just on another planet to have met somebody like him who was a kindred spirit and willing to do this. And then one day last summer, and I can't tell you the day exactly, it was either June or July, I'm not sure, because one minute we're going to get all this media and we're going to make history and when we're going to do all this, and in the very next breath a day, two, a week later. I mean, it was that quick. Well, we're going to file with what we have and get it over with. And I said, what about the media? Well, you can get media if you want. Oh my God, not again. And I want to tell you, I tried not to go to hysterical, but I was upset. And when I'm upset, I talk loud. But I wasn't angry with him. I was scared. But it didn't matter. From that day on, he was somebody else. He was angry with me. He just wanted rid of me. And he did. Took a few months, but he terminated me and fired me. And he hates me. He blamed me for every anxiety attack or depression he ever had. And the truth is that he was going through hell in the courthouse. And I think he might have taken a mini stroke. Or I thought maybe medical marijuana did it. Or maybe some other drug did it. I mean, I was looking for reasons. But let me tell you, he's not the same person. And I lost not just my case, which was my life's work, and I made myself homeless deliberately because I'd run out of money. And so the only way for me to continue to pay his legal fees was I had to be homeless. So I moved in with Dan, and I couldn't afford to take money and rent an apartment. I wouldn't have enough money to pay legal fees. So that's how important this fight in banning secret filing was to me. I was supposed to buy a home, but when Doug McIsaac robbed me of my $190,000, tricked me out of the $190,000, well, I didn't have enough money to buy a home. And at my age, 76, I can't afford to carry a mortgage. I can't do that. So, okay, Dan's got an income, and with our two incomes together, maybe we could have done it. But I'm a sick person, and he's not that well either. He's had cancer. I can't take that risk. So I decided to give up all my prized possessions, which I gave to friends, give away over 100 gowns, cut back on my lifestyle, and move into a room in Dan's apartment. And he, God bless him, gave up his gym in the living room for my files, all my research files, and I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, I've got about 15 file drawers. Like, the whole wall is nothing but files. Actually, it's a wall and a half is nothing but files. So, I'm stacked to the ceiling in the living room. And then to fit in what clothes I could salvage, because look, I'm a clothes horse, let's face it. I had a 4-bedroom house with my mother, and I kind of never left home. You know, I always had an apartment. I had another house in Toronto. I had had a cottage in Wasaga Beach. It didn't matter where I was. I still had a room at my mother's, and I always had a closet full of gowns and stuff. So, because I dress, make, and design I haven't got the room to do that anymore, but I dress, make, and design my clothes. My ski outfits, jackets I buy, but the tights, a lot of my tights I make myself. I design my clothes. I design my hats. This is one of my little designs. I make jewelry. This one I didn't make, but I'll make jewelry. So it's just, you know, it's part of who I am. I'm a dancer, even though I take crippling attacks, and I'm a skier, cross-country, predominantly because I think downhill is boring. Any cripple can go up a hill in a chair and go down, which I was. But if I can get to my feet and I can climb, that's what I want to do. And I haven't succeeded yet this year, but twice. Capriol Mountains, my passion. I love Capriol. I love the people there. They're wonderful. So this sudden change in personality, the thing is that getting back to Trent, I kept hoping, I kept apologizing. I didn't know what I'd done wrong. And the truth is, I didn't do anything wrong. He got it in a bee in his bonnet, and he wanted rid of me, and he was just looking for reasons to find me at fault. Now, I'm handicapped. My mother died. I lost over $300,000. I spent $60,000 with him, $15,000 with another lawyer, and he didn't even have a split second's compassion for me. He accused me of criticizing a bill, a $10,000 bill. Yeah, the $10,000 upset me, all right. I didn't think that going after the government to get documents from Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan would cost that much. But I still wasn't mad at him. I was upset with the government. But you see, he had changed. And I just couldn't let it go. I couldn't believe that this man was so heartless and so unforgiving. Even if I had got mad at him, be a professional. I'm 76 years old. I'm handicapped. Cut me some slack. But no, he's not the same person. He's somebody else. The Trent I knew died. The Trent I loved died. And and he's never going to come back. I've been through this before. This is not an episode. It's not temporary. I have to move on. Moving on. I'm accepting the failure. I can't ever get the law changed. I can't go through with the Charter of Rights, fight on the Charter of Rights. It's over. And I've done everything I can. I've sent out hundreds of letters to members of Parliament and people all over Canada and attorney generals and every newspaper, every TV station, every radio station, you name it, I've done it. Nobody gives a shit. So, if Canadians don't care that we have a law that makes fraud and criminal behavior and property theft legal, and they don't give a damn, I have to let it go. Anyway, I just wanted to share that if somebody suddenly changes and becomes somebody else, they literally, that you have to accept and grieve the death of that person. They have died. And there's somebody else walking around in that body. They're not the same person. And you do have to grieve, just as you would if it was a regular death. And you do have to move on, and you have to let go and let God, because there is nothing you can do. And the more you try, the harder you try, the worse it gets. Because you see, they hate you. They really do hate you. You're the enemy. And I think that's how some women and men wind up getting murdered. Because when that change happens, they don't want you around. Trent wanted to destroy me. He knew what that Charter of Rights meant to me, and I left him with $14,000. He could have finished it. But he wanted me dead. He wanted me destroyed. And what better way to do it? And I did try to kill myself. Dan stopped me and locked me in my room for a couple of days until I calmed down. But, yeah. Sometimes someone you love becomes somebody else. And what you have to do is get out. Don't hang around. Accept it. They're dead. They're gone. And leave. Cut the relationship. Don't ever try to go back. I've made that mistake. Not saying my relationship with Trent could have been salvaged, but I saw it coming. And when it changed, I should have ended it. I should have ended it. I don't care about the money I would have saved, but at least I would have walked away with perhaps less hatred. Or maybe not, but it wouldn't have been as bad. But instead I hung in there, and I hung in there, and I hung in there, and I put myself through such torture. So if anybody has a similar story, I'd sure like to hear about it, because right now I'm feeling like, why me? So many times this has happened to me in my life. What am I doing wrong? I don't know. Anyway, maybe by sharing it will help you get past what you have to get past, because you do have to get past it. They're dead. And that body is somebody else. And it's never going to be the same, and they're never going to come back. And if you're going through it, by all means, connect with me. You know, the old saying, united we shall conquer, divided we fail. But it's a very painful process. And God bless all of you who have stood by me through thick and thin, who've given me the right to be angry. That's what love is, you see. The people who care about me and truly do love me, they allow me to be angry. They allow me to scream and rant and rave once in a while and get hysterical, because I'm going through hell. And they love me just the same. And maybe I don't talk to them every day, and I withdraw and I go into a hole of depression. They allow me the privilege of that too, you see. It's unconditional love, and I am very fortunate. I have that with Dan. I have that with Jill and Brian and Len and Diane and Helen and Francine, just to mention my closest, dearest friends. I'm very, very lucky. And thank you for listening. God bless.